Welcome back to Evolve. Today we have the privilege of speaking with Mr. Captain Hayford, who is the CEO and founder of Webnation Africa.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Evolve. We're super grateful to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And today we're going to pick into the brains of Captain to really understand his story, how he built his empire, and the economy of Africa, Ghana, and why so many people nowadays are, as they say, returning home.
Mm-hmm.
So, could you please introduce yourself and let us know what is the story of Webnation and what's your story?
Right. So, my name is Hayford. I'm the CEO and founder of Webnation Africa. Now, let's go back a bit. Now, I grew up here in Ghana. I was in the in high school here in Accra, which is the eastern region. When I graduated, I wanted to study abroad. Okay, so I told my parents that I don't want to study. I don't want to go to the university here in Ghana. Mm-hmm. I want to go somewhere else. Back then, I had a friend called Clement, and then he was living in India then. We all went to the same high school. As soon as we finished high school, he just left, and then he was living in India. And he kept telling me, it's amazing here. The way we are learning is different. It's more practical. Mm-hmm. They are not drawing computer screens on a board. They actually have computers there. So you should come. So I convinced my dad, and then I went to India to study Bachelor's of Science in Information Technology. Now, while there, I think in my first semester into second semester, my dad got sick. And in an African household, our dad is everything. He pays the fees. My mom is, he stays at home. She's not working. So when I was told my dad is sick, he actually got stroke. So this is me living abroad in India, in a university that, I'm paying US dollars. And in Africa, imagine your parents, middle class or maybe lower than that, paying your fees and now they are sick. So I'm like, I'm here now. What do I do? So I went online and I'm like, I have nothing to do. I have nowhere to make money. So I type, how do I make money online? So the algorithm, Google suggested so many things to me. And so I saw AdSense on there. And I dive into it. I watched many YouTube videos and it's basically saying, become a YouTuber. And so I took that because my life depended on it. I took that to heart and doubled down. I was researching about 20 hours a day behind my computer. I was sleeping like 2 to 4 hours every day. And I created YouTube channel. Later on YouTube channels and, posting about 10 videos in a day. I was posting back to back. And the type of videos I was making was documentary. So I find Creative Commons videos online. I put them together and make a story out of it and then distribute it. And so that's how I started YouTube. And, I had multiple YouTube channels. I went from broke, waiting on family to send me money to making $1,500 in a day. So I was relieved after that. But this whole discovery evolved. So I finished my university. I was supposed to return back home to Ghana. And I'm like, I have this degree. I'm like, am I going back to work as an IT guy? Back then I was making between $15,000 to $16,000 to $30,000 a month.
Wow.
And my degree there's no way my degree would give me that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take YouTube and just run with it. And so I relocated back to Ghana around 2017. And I founded Webnation GH. It wasn't Africa, it was GH.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had other media platforms, but it was not Africa centered. Mm-hmm. So I wanted something for Africa. So I founded Webnation GH. And we started with street quiz. So we go on the street, we be asking questions, difficult question, quiz. And if they get it wrong, we put some memes in there, funny stuff for social media, entertaining people. So that's how Webnation, started, GH started. But we evolved from that. And now we started, promoting Africa. We started interviewing diasporans. Now, being an IT student, we were taught that data is king. So I'm always looking at the back office of the YouTube, page and seeing what people are actually looking for and whatnot. So I realized that a lot of people were searching about, Africa, how to live in Africa. What does it take? And so I realized that, listen, maybe I have to drift. So we rebranded, changed from Webnation GA to Webnation Africa. And we started, interviewing people, diasporans who have relocated and living here. We dive into their story, their experiences living here, and even what they thought about Africa before making the move. The story is a bit more detailed, but there's the brief part of it. And so that's how Webnation Africa came into being.
It is very inspiring that how we can see the journey, as you said, in India studying IT.
Yeah.
All of those skills that you acquired from the back end, the data, have come to build these foundations to where you are today.
Exactly.
But what I'd like to know, you were realizing that data, right? Many people from other countries are interested in Africa.
Right.
We as Brits who have family in Africa, I was that guy searching what's it like to be in Ghana, and some of your content came up and now I'm here. So I think I'm the evidence of someone who would have encountered that content before coming to Ghana, and we were just curious. But why do you think so many people now are searching for these things? Where has this almost, I don't want to say sudden interest, but the spike, where has that come from?
That's a very interesting question. That's a good question. I'm a data guy, and I'm always looking at what the algorithm says. There used to be year of return, but it's not as big. There's something called year of return. So the Ghana government in 2019, coined this term year of return, inviting African Americans, right, and diasporans in general to relocate back to the continent and Ghana. Now, before that happened, you say you're a Brit from the UK, right? So we had diasporans, Ghanaian diasporans who lived in the UK, and what happens is every Christmas they come back home. So they come, they spend money, so it's cash out season. So the market women are happy because the UK pounds are coming into town and whatnot. But it was not as big, right, compared to what is happening now until the year of return happened. Now, I'm talking about Ghana and what is happening, but I'll talk about Africa later on. So African Americans are, they create the lifestyle for the world. Look at hip hop, right? Everything about them is cool, right? And they are more trend, right? Whatever they do is more likely to trend, right? So when the year of return happened, there was a lot of media attention on Ghana and African Americans relocated, right? And so they come, they share their experiences. Every celebrity in America come, to Ghana, and they post about it, they vlog about it, and they're the one who programmed the rest of the world. So if your favorite celebrity is going to Ghana and having a great time, you're sitting back like, what am I doing here? So everybody wanted to, everybody want to come have their own experience. So that triggered something. But then they didn't just come to visit. They came to stay permanently. And that's where the change happened. Now, what made them want to stay, right? I've interviewed a lot of people who had no money, African Americans, and they had only one thing, which is hope that it would work out here. So these people, these African Americans, they come back home and they feel different. They feel like, oh wow, I make $1,000, $2,000 in the US working remotely. That amount of money can't take me anywhere. It can barely pay for their accommodation. But they realize that, oh, that amount can last me for a month or 2 years. So they realized that they could get more for their money than they could in the US. So that made them want to stay longer. Now, some other people feel like the barrier of entry to investment is lower here. Example, if someone were to go into real estate in the US, you need a lot of money. Unless you are a broker where you just need your license and start selling houses. If you want to build a house in the US, there's a lot of bureaucracy that you have to go through. So most African Americans come and they see the ecosystem here, the industry here, and the barrier of entry is quite low, and they feel like they can start. They like it more here. So that triggered, something. And there's a feeling that from the interviews that I've, conducted with African Americans, there's a feeling that they get when they get here, a sense of belonging. They see people who look like them. They don't deal with racism. It's a different vibe, and they feel at home. Their hearts feel like they belong here. And so that triggers something in them, and also in there, because they call their family members, tell them how they are feeling. They post on their YouTube channel. Other people who are in their shoes, maybe they are working in the diaspora 9 to 5, they are getting burnt out. They look at someone who have made a leap, and travel. They're like, I can be like that. So I want to travel too. So it's a domino effect of such things. And with the power of the social media and the internet, it's created this huge effect of everybody want to, move back. And it's a no-brainer. We've had different ethnicities, right? Relocate and live here on the continent. We had the Chinese, the Lebanese, Indians, everybody else, they are relocating and investing on the continent, but it's not said out loud, right? They do it quietly. They buy most of the properties here. They own most of the restaurants here. And on the media, right? Western media, all people who look like me hear about Africa is illness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's nothing there, HIV, AIDS. So they fell victim to that propaganda and that narrative that they didn't even want to go until people like What Am I started making videos about Africa, showing the real Africa. And that triggers something in these people. And now they see the good in Africa and they want to come back. And they came back, saw it, and it was true. So they broadcast it back. So this is what is happening. That's why everybody is, focused on Africa now. I've met, in my own circle, I've met people who came to Ghana with money. They lost everything, but rebuilt themselves, making millions of dollars in Ghana here. And one of them told me, this amount of money that I'm making here, I wouldn't have been able to make the same profit margin if I did this business in the US and UK. And so for investors, that's very attractive to them. And for the ordinary person, they feel more at peace here in the continent. Freedom, no, not too much, laws. You feel like you are stuck. Here they feel free. I hope that answers the question.
No, this is a very comprehensive answer and a lot of things we can go into deeper, but the first one about like the traditional view of Americans is they're very good at marketing.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can be positive or negative, but this year of return, I remember being in the UK and just seeing a lot of this content. And my dad became really into Steve Harvey. And when Steve Harvey came and did Family Feud in Ghana, my dad just couldn't stop watching that. And we realized again, there's a counter narrative to the Western programming of Africa equals illness, disease, poverty. Suddenly on our screens, we can see, Africa and Ghana means politeness.
Yes.
This warm hospitality and good food. And the thing is, I have family from Ghana, so I knew this, but when it's being reinforced, not just by family, but with the media as well, it's very powerful. And that's probably helped to influence me and my family to come back and really embrace it. Yeah, but it is, especially with Ghanaians as well, the culture is so different to African Americans. It's a completely different world. So when they arrive, they must be very surprised.
And I think some people have done really well, like a brother like Diallo Sambre. So he's actually an African American himself, and he relocated like 7-8 years ago to Ghana and Africa in general. And that changed everything for him. So what people like himself do is they create an experience, right, that immerse these African Americans, these families who are relocated into the local communities. They go on tour. They see how the local, live. They experience the tribe, the culture, and so they have an idea, right, about the country they are, about to, live in if they decide. And that helps because it's a different culture. They find out, okay, this used to be my ancestors. That's for those who believe that they also came from Africa. Because we've had some African Americans who believe they are not from Africa.
Oh, really? I never had that.
No, in my comment section, I've had people who, and I don't know if it was African American, but it's like, I'm an indigenous African American and we didn't come from Africa. We originated from America.
Okay.
But I'm saying this to say those who believe they came from Africa feel like, this used to be my forefathers. This used to be my culture. And so they are opening to that, accepting that culture and, taking it to be their own. But they also keep in mind that they're still African American at the end of the day, and they have their own hip hop culture, and they also teach that to the Ghanaians. So it's almost like take garbage in and garbage out. We, exchange culture and whatnot, and it opens their mind to things that they didn't. They see common things. The food that even jollof rice, they have jambalaya.
Okay,
different name, but it's literally the same thing. They're like, oh wow, this is us. This is how we cook our food the same way, and sometimes very surprising. And they feel like they've been lied to for so long.
It's a really deep and painful point that I think I'm so passionate about showing people that they are lies. There is some truth in everything. There's challenges in Africa. There's challenges everywhere though.
Yeah.
but it's a spirit that I've felt. I lived in Reunion Island,
Where's that?
which is a French overseas territory near to Madagascar and Mauritius.
Okay.
So there are many people there of African origin.
Mhm.
You go to the Caribbean, I've spent time there as well. These are people who can all trace lineage back to Africa. Foods might have different names, whatever, but there's a spirit that you just can't find anywhere else. And when you combine that, I guess, African-American spirit of entrepreneurialism, because you mentioned hip hop, but on top of that, African Americans are very, like, they're Americans at the end of the day. You know, they will find a way to build that. You combine that with the kind of discipline and groundedness of Ghanaians. I'm sure there's a lot of huge potential there.
That's true. And I get inspired. There's actually a gentleman, Dre Taylor, that I interviewed recently. And he came here as a tourist, right? And ended up doing tours, bringing more people from the diaspora to Ghana to experience what he did experience. And he realized that he was spending about $30,000 on hotels for his, his clients come in. It's like, wait, this hotel people are making this much money? And he then that's what you're saying, the entrepreneurial spirit, they have it. And so he started his own real estate business. Now he's building somewhere in Accra. He's built like over 100 units. And this is someone living in diaspora. Don't even think about starting real estate, but just stepping here and seeing opportunity, light bulb moment. Now he's on a journey on building multiple homes here on the continent. And I think there's two ways to build a society. If you want to merge two, people. Back in the days, when two villages want to unite, they use marriage.
Of course.
So the prince will marry the princess from that, village, whatnot. Now, what we are doing to merge the African American society, the culture, and Ghanaian is one business, right? Doing business together, interacting with the locals, making money together. I think it's one of the strategies, is that's being used now. So yeah, we're getting to know each other. We're making money first, and then the rest will just fall in place. But yeah, his story is very inspirational. I've had a lot of people who tell me in the comment section that they feel like their life is better off living in New York in one bedroom condo apartment. And I'm like, but have you been to Africa? Have you stepped foot here to actually see if truly your life would be better in New York than Ghana? They've not done that. They fall victim to the narrative on the media, and they're stopping themselves from coming. And that's taking money out of their own pocket. Imagine if this gentleman I just mentioned never came to Africa, never visited. What would happen?
It's a really deep and profound thing, because there are people, like we spoke with Mr. Tim Swain recently, and he does some of that cultural consultancy, like you said. And there is a thing that for people in the West, specifically America, but I feel like Europe is applicable, where if you grow up black, or in my case brown, and then you listen to the narrative, it becomes something you're constantly thinking about. Like, I'm black, I'm this, I'm whatever, I'm Pakistani. That's on your mind. And then you come to Ghana, people here are not like, it's not a constant conversation people are having about our color. Exactly. Like in the West, you're a black or brown man. In Ghana, people don't see each other as black people, you're people. And I think that takes a while for a lot of people to realize, like, you're here now. It's not something that people here are really interested in. I think the National Museum of Ghana has an incredible quote where it says, slavery is not part of our history. It interrupted our heritage.
That's true.
But if you're from the West, that's something you can't just shake off. You can't just come here and then forget all of that.
They force it for it to become your identity. And psychologically, it's limiting. I could understand, right, what that would do to someone if you are being told that this is your history, this is what your forefathers went through, that you were deemed as an animal. Like, even though you've recovered from that over years, it does something to you psychologically, emotionally, right? And with here, it's like that's not even a conversation, right? We're just people. Sometimes when I travel out of Ghana and I'm in the diaspora somewhere, I don't think of my color as black. I'm just like moving on to someone does something, and I'm like, oh wait, I used to look at right.
That's the reason why.
But here it's like you don't even think about that, right? And when, the more you think about the fact that you're black, it's just like, okay, there's a manual book of where you can reach as a black person, the limits, so that it stops you from growing, from thinking, from evolving. It's very, I can imagine. I lived in India, I lived in China, so I've seen how ignorant people are. People come to you and touch your skin. I've never thought about it as racism, but I could see that these people have no idea about who we are. And imagine that happening to you every day. It does something to you. And it's very limiting. But here, you don't even get to, experience anything like that. People see you, they respect you. As a matter of fact, they will treat you nicer as an African American than they will treat me. Because in Ghana, we take foreigners, like we respect foreigners a lot. We deem them as foreigners, but I mean, they are one of us. But we hear the accent, we will give you a better treatment than we will give our own, people. And so that feeling, they get when they come here, it's nothing compared to everything nothing compared to whatever they've ever felt before.
I mean, growing up with family from Ghana, there was a lot of talk with them in the UK about not really their blackness. It even sounds strange because that wasn't really a conversation, but it was about the Ghanaianness.
The Ghanaian.
And we are airway, we are this, we are that. Exactly. That's more important. And their cultural values that stem from being Ghanaian, not black. Because if you mention Nigerian or other countries, you're going to have a different opinion. So I understand there is unity within Africans, of course, Kwame Nkrumah, but it's very layered. And I think that's when you mix with Africans, you realize straight away that, okay, yeah, skin color, especially when you're in the West, there is treatment that only people similar to you are going to understand and experience, of course. But when you actually get to Africa, I haven't seen people in Africa talking about like, skin as much. There is separate conversations, like you said, about light skins being favored and then bleaching skin, and all of those things are real. But it's not like the level in the West for sure.
No, I've not been in the West, but I've heard a lot of stories through my interview, and I can almost depict an image of how it would look like. I don't know what that would do to me, seriously, if I'm being judged by the color of my skin. I don't know what that would do to me. But yeah, it's the tribe. We also have our own little problems, the tribes here. Some tribes try to, put themselves above other tribes, but it's something that we've gotten over a long time ago. And one people, Ghanaians, that's our priority. We always think we are better than Nigerians.
I heard a lot. Sorry, we love the Nigerians.
When it comes to food, other things, but it's a friendly banter, just like you have your brother.
Yeah,
you fight with your brother. You would crack jokes here and there. You fight every now and then, but the brotherhood is still there. And I think that's what we have as Africans. We would banter here and there, but we still respect each other as Africans, or even a tribe, as Igbo, as Yoruba, as a Kuyapem, as a Kan, whatever that is, So that skin color thing is really, it's non-existent here. Now we are more knowledgeable on what is happening in the West, and so we try to address and then speak on matters like that. But here, it's not even part of our vocabulary.
And it's something embedded in people's respect, cultural respect, because even growing up in the West, whenever I met an African and I told them, oh, my grandfather was from Ghana, I look different, it never impacted me at all. It was just, okay, you understand this. You've been brought up to understand, speak to the elder like this. Don't do this, don't say that. So it is something, mannerisms that you can look the same as someone, but if you've been raised in a different culture, you meet a Jamaican who might look similar to someone from West Africa, their mind's it's a different language, they've got their patois, they've got their own customs as well. That goes beyond just the appearances.
That's true.
But okay, so what I want to know now, though, is to really go onto an economic level.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of your content and other content online where locals here are finding it challenging now because you have people coming in from abroad. So it's a double-edged sword, I think, or where you've got obviously money being invested. But how does that actually affect the local people as well? Because prices are increasing. It's not as simple as just like investment good, right? So what's the local impact for Ghanaians from this investment?
Well, that's a good question. Gentrification is everywhere. I mean, you're from the UK, the Brits, this is there. You know that there's a community that was like the ordinary Brits, and now the white folk, I say white, wealthy folks moved into that environment, that's community, and now they price them out, right? So when you see wealth moving into any part of the world, there will be a gentrification happening. Is it happening? Maybe. Right. What is the government doing, or what are we doing to mitigate that? Now, there's a policy that says that if you're a foreigner, right, you want to invest in Ghana, you need a minimum of about $200,000 or it's something huge. Until if you want to get rid of that, you have to have a local partner, right, who would be, part owner of the company or whatever, and then you have to allocate shares to this person. That would reduce our cost drastically to maybe $5,000-$10,000. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it. But this is one of the strategies that the government is using. It's not only Ghana, even in Tanzania, Zanzibar. You can't buy land as a foreigner. You need a local partner to be able to buy. What this would do is it would equip them financially. It would make them much more independent, right? So you just don't come into the society, make the money, and then impoverish the locals, right? Now, is this being enforced very well? I don't know, but yeah, it's gentrification is everywhere. But the good side of this is in 2019, I'm not sure, the government said Ghana actually made over $5 billion from everybody coming the 30 December. It didn't go to the government, but people spend as much of money. And who is the beneficiary? Right? Let's look at it this way. The person coming to Ghana takes flight. So that some of the money goes to the flight ticket. They get to the airport. I mean, I'm not sure if they get some of them, but the airport. Let's talk about the taxi driver who takes them to the hotel, the local hotel. The money goes there, right? They go out, they eat. So all this it's going everywhere, right? So, well, those who decide to stay permanently would stay in a nice neighborhood, right? Well, are there some poor people in the neighborhood who can't afford to live there any longer because there's more wealthy people? Yes. But then looking at the bigger scale, are their business doing well because of the foreigners coming in? Or, yes, right. If they are making, and they've said it, I've watched so many documentaries where the locals testify that in December, their revenue just skyrocketed. Because, I mean, I had a diasporan in town and we went to the Blaster Square and there was a tour guide who showed her around. And after everything, she tipped her 400 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
That's like $40.
It's a nice tip.
Nobody tips like that. I'm like, in Ghana, we don't do that. That's a lot of money. So that's me looking at one person's life. Now look at the bigger picture. So it's making their life better. So what would you prefer? Them not even coming at all, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? Them not, because our life will still be the same. The poor people still live in their poor neighborhood. But when investors come, they create jobs. We got to start from somewhere, right? They create jobs. So it's like you said, two double-edged
sword, yeah.
But I think it's mostly the responsibility of the government to be able to mitigate, to make sure that it's not that bad. But from my research, it's inevitable, man. It's happening everywhere. The US, the UK, Canada, everywhere. Rich people go somewhere, poor people have to move and then go somewhere else. But we are the locals, and so we have to make sure that we don't get priced out of Ghana. Imagine going to Dubai and the locals, the native Emiratis, are not the ones who have the most wealth. It wouldn't be fair, right?
I don't think they would ever allow that situation to happen. Yeah.
So I think the more we talk about this, like we are doing now, the government become more self-conscious about it, and make policies that would make sure that the locals actually are enriched and not the other way around.
I think it goes back to what you said earlier about when people from abroad, diaspora, African Americans, British diaspora as well, come back, that they understand each other.
Yeah.
Because you might look similar to someone, but your brain, your values, everything's different. But when you sit down with Ghanaians and actually speak, okay, this is frustrating us. You can listen to each other. Okay, I saw some great debates online of this where the Ghanaians were saying, look, we understand for you it's a big moment in your culture and history, but for us, it's not something that we're talking about anymore. But there's a big cultural, I guess, barrier there that once it is spoken about and educated, hopefully there's a lot of opportunities.
I agree. There's more conversations that needs to happen between African Americans or diasporans in general and Ghanaians, right? to get to know each other, because I don't think we know each other. I have personally started in the conversation where we were debating about an African American raised the concern that they feel like we sold them to slavery. And so there's a returnee who have relocated to Ghana trying to do business, and they're in a meeting with a local, and then they're telling the local that, oh, you sold us to slavery. Right. And then the local is like, you don't know what happened. I was not there. You know what my forefathers had to do? They had to fight. They got killed. They were kidnapped. Do you know what they had to do with our leaders when they didn't accept, Christianity? And so it's like almost like we are putting our trauma on top of, above each other's trauma. But I think that's not the solution. The solution is to be able to understand each other and accept the fact that this history happened to us and learn something from it that would build us, rather than just, having this conversation and fighting each other. Let's do business together. Understand you've been through a lot. I have been through a lot. What can we do together now to make, ourselves better? And then the more conversation we have, understanding each other, the better. The more we can, build that friendship and that bond. Because they are returning home. They are once upon a time us. Our forefathers who traveled into some of them were forced, right? And they're coming back. So they're us. But then they've been programmed for years to be Americans. Now they have to now take that programming off and then, accept that, Ghanaian programming. It takes time. It is a lot of education, patience on our side for them to understand, and vice versa, for us to also understand them.
The deprogramming is very, very, very difficult. And I've even experienced that from the Pakistani side. We were colonized by the UK. Ghana was colonized by the UK, but I still don't feel that
by the British. Yes.
Yeah, you see. So I understand that I would recommend for anyone. You don't even if you're not Ghanaian or Pakistani, just study history and understand things as much as you can. And you don't have to hold on to the resent. And it's hard. It's easier said than done, right? Let go, but understand fully. Don't forget. But yeah, being able to have a constructive approach to history and what happened, rather than a destructive coming here and then telling people you did this to us. Like, accusatory approaches, in my opinion, even if it's correct, will rarely get you a positive outcome.
And when I saw that, it was very sad, because that moment that we are fighting each other, the Lebanese are making money. They're not going through fighting each other. No, they're like, let's make this money. The Chinese is in the forest cracking the timbers down, mining the gold. And these people have equity and cash, right, to invest. Now, the people who we are hoping they do is that our brothers in the diaspora. And half of the time we are debating on who sold who, right? So it's like, even though the idea was for them to relocate and then, build Ghana together, most of the time you find them mopping heads with the locals. And I'm like, it's very interesting. But the more education we have, like you mentioned, knowing our history, it would help us a lot moving forward, because we are losing at our own game. Most of the restaurants here, nice fancy restaurants, are not even owned by Ghanaians. They're owned by Lebanese.
I noticed it because I searched up, and this is another thing I wanted to ask you about. So, but to just on that point, when I arrived here, okay, where can I go to eat? Restaurants. They will even say Ghanaian food. They serve jollof and whatever, but it's a mix. I walk into the restaurant, the owners look like me. I see like, oh, okay. And then I get explained that these are Lebanese, Ghanaian.
Been here for, I think, 100 years.
Okay.
Something like that. And I've met some Lebanese who are first, second generations, and they own like a lot of properties here. You see, and acres. I know some Lebanese in Pram, they own acres of land, and they are Ghanaians now. I can't even call them Lebanese. They are Ghanaians. But where is our Ghanaians? Do we know Ghanaians who grew up here owning such properties and actually commercializing it for it to bring them money? Not really. Why? Maybe they have the asset, but they don't have the knowledge to turn it into business. Well, that's where our brothers come in diaspora. The entrepreneur, they have the experience, they know, what to do with, some assets. They will teach us, do business together. That's, I think, our opportunity to make money together. For them to bring their knowledge and experience and then add value to the assets that we have here. And actually, I've seen someone who did that. Shark Island. It's a gentleman, African American man, who got in touch with a local guy, a farmer, who through him he got to have a land now and build an island, building some real estate on the island. But it's just that kind of partnership. I have something, I don't have the money to build it. You have the skills, you have the money, put it together. Things like this. Because then, as I said, we are losing at our own,
Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenon that is not just here in Ghana, but even in the UK. There are communities that have historically, after World War II, they were invited from different former colonies, including Pakistan, India, Bangladeshis, a lot of West Africans as well, Jamaicans, the list goes on. But then in 1 or 2 generations, those people who came from a very poor background, including members of my family who came over to the UK with pretty much nothing, with the right community knowledge, they are able to build. And I think sometimes the locals might look at a situation like that and say, whoa, how did they do this? And we're able to build. So I really hope that there's a special spirit here that I've found with Ghanaians that is so positive. But even with some of the people on the street here working, doing hard jobs, selling things, there's an energy that is just so powerful, but maybe they don't have that knowledge of how to apply that energy. But I'm sure if that knowledge is applied with that spirit of just like, it sounds strange, but they're walking in the street and they're asking you, where are you from? And we're telling them, Pakistan. Hey, Pakistan. Like there's just, some of the kids, they don't have much, but I can just feel there's a powerful thing there. But once that is combined with the right opportunities, I feel like there's no limit to what can be achieved. However, without that knowledge and application,
that's very true.
You're going to see other communities come in and be able to go ahead.
Even how powerful unity is, the Chinese have shown us that, right? There's so many convenience shops, small shops, in Ghana, like 100, 200, right? Imagine if that become one supermarket. I'm sure it would be bigger than the China Mall, right? So that understanding of unity and the power, somebody have to teach it to us almost, so the energy is there. We want to work hard, but working smart and being very strategic is what is going to make us win. And I think we need a lot more of that, that guidance. Instead that we teach, and even in Ghana, our local media, I'm putting Ghana out there, they don't really teach about entrepreneurship. It's always most of politics and pastor preaching and all those kind of things. We need a proper programming that would change the mindset of the Ghanaians. Right. It's happening. Don't get me wrong. It's happening. The youth, look at someone like me. I'm a Ghanaian and I'm building a media platform. It's happening, but we can really kind of propel that growth by more education, teaching, Ghanaians more at critical thinking so they can actually, make more out of what they have within their environment and their society.
An example for us in the UK is that, I'm Pakistani, but I have to compliment the Indians here. You lived in India as well, that a lot of the South Asian communities that came to the UK with nothing, there was a stereotype in the UK that the corner shop, so these like mini convenience stores or off licenses, we call them, were owned always by a brown person, a South Asian. Sometimes they used to use a derogatory word for those, something shop owner. I don't need to say it, but it just shows that in their mind, in that community, it was you go there, you put your money together, you buy a shop.
Right.
You own that shop. Then you earn enough money to then buy your house. And you buy another shop and then you buy another house. And I have to take my hat off to the Indian community in the UK. I've done that so well. So it is possible just with that community kind of approach. But then let's broaden it out now then to Africa. Because you've been to many different places, spoken with people from many different countries, walks of life.
Yeah.
How do you see this, not just on a micro scale, but on a macro scale for Africa and the kind of expansion and development of West Africa and then the wider African continent's economy?
So, that's a good question. If you look at the UK, there's a decline in even childbirth. People are not giving birth anymore in the UK. The US is going to the same thing. There's a decline in population. The whole world, Ghana or Africa have the most youth, right? And that's power, that's energy, right? And so you're looking at declined societies like the US. Okay. You're looking at the
war in the comments are going to
come. Because everything is going down. The US, they've reached the pinnacle, the peak. How much higher can you go, right? We've seen it all. And then entrepreneurs want to grow, right? They want to do things that have never been done before. And where do they get to do that? On the continent. That's where the problems are. That's where most problems are, And so what happens is a lot of entrepreneurs now re-strategizing and reinvesting in Africa, right? So everybody's coming here, right? All the big tech firms are coming. Amazon, I was in South Africa, Cape Town, and Amazon is opening a new office there. So think about that fact. Amazon is a multi-billion dollar corporation. And so when they are moving into Africa, what does that look like? Right? Well, they are there to first of all make money. Where's the money going to come from? Within the local community, the local jurisdiction, right? So they make money first and they create jobs. Right, they give jobs to the locals, and it strengthens them. Those who didn't have jobs before now have jobs. They have money to start their own endeavors. Right, so we see a lot of that happening. Where not only South Africa, Ghana. Like think about the $1 billion agreement signed between Ghana and the Dubai to mount a tech hub in Pram Pram. What does this mean? Right, so this is what is happening on the continent of Africa. Everybody's coming here, investing heavily. Those who have the money to spare. Right now, I think the growth annually GDP in Africa is higher than any other continent, if I'm not mistaken. Even in Ghana, our GDP is about 7.5. Our GDP growth annually is about 7.5, if I'm not mistaken. Compared to the US, you have like 2.4, 3%. Now, as an investor, if you're looking at these numbers, where do you want to put your money? You want to put your money in the US where you get 2%, 2.5, or you put your money in Africa where you can get 7.5%. Let's even talk about real estate. I was in Nigeria and I've interviewed some Nigerian real estate developers, and they're talking about there's high risk and high reward. So a Nigerian real estate developer can invest maybe $200,000 in maybe apartment complex and take home 200, 300% profit. Tell me which real estate industry in the world would give you this. Where? In Dubai, you get 5, 6 maximum. Ghana, in real estate, you are getting 50% annually when you buy a complex, put it on Airbnb. Right? Sometimes. Right? So smart investors see this, right? And what does that do for us? Well, you get a job. Those who are looking for a job, you get a job, you get experience, you get to see the inside of this big corporations, how they do their business. You learn from there, and hopefully one day you get to start your own business. But if you're local and you already have the money, you don't know what to do, seeing other people come to your country with a hunger in their stomach and their spirit, making all this business and making money, you get inspired. Right? You can copy them. If you can't beat them, join them. You copy them. You try to do the same thing. Yeah. So this is what is happening. And it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I studied in India. Now I'm living here in Ghana. If you give me back to India, I should go back to India. I might not. Right? What have I seen here in Ghana that is keeping me here? Think about it. Right? If you give me to go work in the US, I will not go. Why? What have I seen? Right. I have a real estate company that I just established, Webnation Properties Limited. Now, the barrier of entry to starting your own real estate company, like I said earlier on, in the West is very high. Here in Ghana, as a young African guy, I can start my own real estate company. So think about that, right? So it's this is what people are seeing. This is what investors are seeing, that the barrier of entry is low. They can invest. They can, join while it's early. Right. And I asked someone, I'm like, do you believe that Accra or Ghana or Africa would be as big one day as New York is? Do you believe that this civilization on the continent of Africa will one day evolve to be that technological infrastructure developed like the US, New York? If you do believe, then any property you buy or any land you buy here in Accra, Ghana, has the potential to be like New York. So imagine owning the land where Times Square was built on. Right, so smart people see this. You understand? Smart people see this, and they want to be the ones to own that land. If Africa would ever become like that, New York. And don't get me wrong, there are places in Africa that looks better than New York.
Well, you were mentioning Cape Town.
Cape Town is beautiful.
I interviewed Dr. Padiachi recently, and he went back to Cape Town recently. He hadn't been there for 20 years.
Yeah,
he was shocked in 20 years how much it has changed. And I think that's it. The rate of change in our lifetimes, depending on the right management, right investment, doing things properly, a lot can change in 15, even 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. I was driving around town yesterday with my dad, and he lived a bit because of work. He had to go to the northern region, and so he retired now. So he's back in Accra, and we were just driving. He lived there for like 10 years plus, and so he doesn't know what's going on in Accra. And we were driving around. It's like, you know what? Infrastructure wise, I'm lost. I don't even know where I am. The only thing that is giving me a clue on where I am is the road, because that's the only thing that has not changed. And I'm like, that's very interesting. So in 10 years, he can't even recognize anywhere. And he used to live here. So I'm like, that's interesting. That's how much development, infrastructure-wise, that has happened here in Ghana, in Accra, on the continent of Africa, Cape Town, right? And so I'm saying you could be part of that growth. You could be the person taking the risks to get these properties. I'm like, Africa is the most cheapest now. This is the cheapest Africa will ever be. Right?
No, it's not going. Yeah.
No matter the depreciation of the currency, the price does not stay. It keep going up.
But I'll be even honest that even coming as a Brit to Accra, I was surprised actually by some of the prices were, going to a restaurant, I'm paying, London prices, if not more in some places. The accommodation, like you said, the person you mentioned earlier with those hotel prices, $17,000 US. I think anyone who has in their idea, in their mind that, I'm going to come on vacation to Ghana and I'm going to have a cheaper trip. I mean, as a Pakistani, I go back and I will sit in a very nice restaurant, 4 or 5 people, and about £20. Maybe how much is that? Like 250 Ghana cedis. All 4 or 5 of you are going to have a lovely meal.
Idea. It was my birthday, 12th April. My friends wanted to show me a good time, and we went to somewhere in Cantonment called Shogun, a Japanese restaurant. 4 of us, we ate very comfortably, not too much. Our bill was 4,000 something, it was 5,000. Do you know how much that is in US dollars?
How much is that?
That's $500.
Hey.
That's one evening. So I'm saying, imagine you being a business owner and owning this Japanese restaurant. Ghanaians have the money to spend.
It's
right. And I've met a lot of people who thought it's going to be cheap here, but they couldn't afford when they moved. Yeah. They had to leave back to the US after a year or 2.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of our complex of growing up in the West. We've spoken about the negative, but then you are told as well that our economies are superior and we have all of these. Now, of course, there are many problems here, but it's a bit of an arrogance in our minds that we think, we're going to come to Ghana and we're going to,
No.
I came here, I didn't know, I'm realizing that now.
I interviewed someone and he was like telling me he was a very connected person and he knows who's who. And it's like, bro, as a diaspora, you need to really humble yourself when you come into Ghana, because don't get it twisted. People are living in East Legon and they are worth $200 million. And these are your neighbors.
It's good to be humbled sometimes. I know, I really think, but the other side of that is that I know that there's let's say, romanticization in a lot of the West, going back to the motherland, wherever your motherland is, right? Italian Americans have it, Pakistanis have it. Now, of course, it's good to connect, who can ever tell anyone that feeling of when you first step into the land of your ancestors? That's deep. However, I was walking in the other day in the evening and I it's Ghana, so you're greeting everyone out. Good evening, sir. And the guy saw me and he said, hey, take me to Europe with you. Ghana no good for me. And then I realized in that moment, like, we're romanticizing this idea of coming back. But I know, as a son of an immigrant from Pakistan and family from Ghana as well, the moment you get to the West, be grateful, appreciate. You've got this education, you've got this as well. So we must not forget that for a lot of people, their dream is to come to the West, despite the racism, despite those things.
And they have the rights to dream like that. And for me, I'm a beneficiary of that. So I have my mates that I went to senior high school with, and so I took my car to service the servicing, Honda. And I go to the Honda place and someone opened the door. And I was looking at the person, I'm like, I know this person. It's a security guard. So I went inside and I parked my car. They took it in for a few days because they have to service it. So I came back to the main door and I had to talk to the person, not knowing he was my high school mate.
Okay.
We went to the same school, same course. And why am I saying I'm the beneficiary? I got the opportunity to study abroad. So my mind was open because of the international experience that I had. Right. So like to your point, so there are some people here that are really smart, right? They have the right mindset and everything, but they don't have the money. They cannot dream, they cannot grow just because of the environment. And so when they get opportunity like our forefathers did, when they get to the diaspora, they thrive a lot more there. It used to be very good, like almost anytime anybody live in Ghana to the, UK back in the days, be like, he's going to make it. But now it's not the same anymore. It has changed, but still, people would appreciate that opportunity. Now, minimum wage in the UK is what, £20,000, £23,000. Someone who is coming from poverty would appreciate that.
Exactly.
So it's a stepping stone for other people. So I respect it, and as I said, I'm a beneficiary of that.
Yeah, and that's why you see people who are born often in Asia or Africa, when they do come to, and I say the West, but that's because I'm from the West, but then Asia as well, other parts of Asia, even intra-migration in Asia is huge. People coming from India, Pakistan, going to study abroad in Korea, wherever. When you take someone who has been raised with an awareness of hardship, and you put them in an environment where they have better opportunities, watch those people thrive.
It's true.
And
they've been hungry, man.
They are very, very hungry, and you will see the difference. That the message I always had from my Ghanaian and Pakistani family was, you don't understand how lucky you are. And a lot of people born in a, let's say, more developed country with those opportunities, it's an entitlement often that unless they've gone back and seen where their family came from, you kind of feel like, it's okay, I can chill.
Just chill, yeah.
But then that guy who's come more recently off the plane,
friend hunger,
that spirit and hunger. And in my own experience in school, those kids who came from different countries, South Africa, whatever, they're straight A students. They're smashing it in education.
They've seen days where their mom woke up and don't know what to eat. They literally have no food to eat, and they have to see their parents go borrow money from other people. Just to think about it. So BBC will come through and do a crazy story about how poor Africa is. I'm not saying there's not poor people. There is, but that can be our general narrative. But there's people here who are struggling. Go to Jamestown. They live in the roofing sheet. They've turned the roofing sheet into a home, and when it rains, it comes to the bedroom. So imagine someone living there and getting an opportunity to study, scholarship. They take that very seriously. Their life depends on it. Not only their life, their parents' life. They believe they are the savior for his generation and his family. So how can you compete with someone like that when you're reluctant? You can't. And that's the hunger we got. People like us got when we went to the diaspora. When I was living in India, now it came upon me that I can't pay my own fees. I didn't take that as a joke. I was taking it very seriously. I need to make it happen. Hook or crook. No, people mistaken and they go into the illegal stuff and then it ruins their life. But those who keep their head up, the energy is there. But you can't compare with people like that. They're hungry. They want to make it happen. So to your point, I appreciate, the fact that I had an opportunity to study abroad. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard somewhere, somewhere here in Ghana. It's hard, man. It's hard. And so when I see people like that, I donate as much as I can. Even they're selling in traffic. I'm like, how much is this? You're selling, the profit is like 1 CD. It was like cents, penny. So I give as much as I can. And that might actually increase their working capital. You never know what that would do for somebody.
Yeah, and I noticed it a lot with the students here. When I think back of how I was in school sometimes and just the average British student, we mess around. Sometimes the kids are talking back to the teachers. They're fighting in schools. I went to the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum and there was a lady bringing around a group of students.
Right.
And I greeted the lady and she saw that I was with my family. She said, "Oh, you don't have a guide? Join us." So we joined the kids and I was observing. Not one of them was out of line. They were so humble and they were listening so intently about their history, answering the questions so politely, hand up, not one toe out of line. And during it, halfway through, one of the teachers of that group came over to me and said, "You see these students? Because these are not rich students. A lot of them are from the street and there's some kind of charity organization that's helping them to be schooled." And I just, was really reflecting on how we are raised at home there's a lot of, I'm so grateful for all the opportunities I had, but then I just wish that, I feel like sometimes we're missing that gratitude. And then those kids who have basically nothing, they're so focused. Every word the leader was saying, they're laser focused, thinking about it and thinking about their futures. And it comes back, if you can combine that spirit with the right guidance, I don't think anyone will be able to compete with that in the future. So,
and that's what people are prevented from happening, because Africa will be unmatched. It would be a force to be reckoned with.
After all of the interviews that you've conducted over the years,
yeah,
I'd like to ask you, what are the biggest lessons or like most valuable knowledge that you've acquired throughout your wide array of experiences?
Is how powerful hope is. Right, people came here, some diasporan came here with nothing, no money, no capital. They didn't know anyone here, no family member here, alone by themselves with their tracksuit, and they made it happen. Right, the hope. It's a driving force, that most people I've interviewed had. And that's what changed the successful business owners, diasporans who relocated. That's the lesson that I learned. I'm like, yeah, just be as hopeful as much as you can. And even, let me just use an example. There's a gentleman called Kelvin Daniels who retired. He worked for the American government and retired. And he was telling me behind cameras what his, like, Senate, I don't know what pension pay, all those kind of things, how much it was. It was a lot of money that he could retire on. He doesn't need to work. But someone like that, he's like, you know what? I want to still dive into business and farming. As a matter of fact, he bought 20 acres of land with his retirement money. I'm not sure what money, but he, think about it like that, and started farming moringa. Now, if you know what moringa is, moringa in Ghana, we have it everywhere. I'm looking at one right there, if I'm not mistaken. And we have it everywhere. People don't appreciate it. But he saw that there's a demand in diaspora. He's like, you know what? I'm going to grow moringa here and export it. So he bought 20 acres, later on added more to it, 46 acres. Risking, right? But he has one thing. He hopes to make an impact and hopefully make a profit, right? So there's a driving force. He's retired. He could just relax, right? But then he did. And then, I interviewed him. The video is over 300,000 viewers. But everything this man said in the video was very inspirational. His journey, why he relocated and what is moving him and pushing him to do what he's doing. I think is very inspirational. And it touched my heart, and it touched so many people's heart watching the video. And I was reading the comment section. And he was telling me behind cameras, like, listen, by next year, if I'm not making $1 million a month, there's something wrong. And I'm like, because he hoped and he risked, right? He stand a chance to be making that much amount of money a month, right? And I've interviewed a lot of people. I was privileged enough, Nigeria, Zanzibar, even Maxwell. So Maxwell is a real estate developer. Risk taking. He took the risk. He's a real estate developer. He was selling houses in the US. And he's like, you know what? He's made millions in the diaspora. He has his own ranch with horses or whatever. But he left that behind to embark on a journey to Africa to start his own real estate firm, construction company called Patco. And now he's building a community. He has started a first project called Blue Pearl. He's built 2, 3, 4-bedroom villas, 45 units of them. And he sold everything out in 45 days. Right. Think about the fact that he's investing into something. He doesn't know what the future lies, what it would be, what would go wrong, but he believed, right? He was hopeful. He took the risk, and now look at what it is. He sold first unit. Second unit, he's building over 100 units of houses now. Now the profit will be at least millions of dollars, right? So look at these people, right? What is moving them? What is moving them? Right? It has to be something very powerful. And from my experience, there's nothing except hope, hope to have a better future, hope to change people's life, add impact or make impact into other people's life. And they reap the benefits as a result of having impacts like that on other people.
I mean, that's the power of these stories and the power of Webnation as well, is that, as you mentioned before, traditional media, if I think to growing up in the UK, my media, I'm sure, as you said, for some Ghanaians, like TV doesn't always focus on these things. So it's harder to visualize your own success when you don't have someone else you can look up to. Someone has to break the mold.
That's true.
And it's always the hardest one, I think, the first person. But now we're so blessed that I can go online, subscribe to Webnation and see, oh, other people have done it before me. So then,
That reminds me of a story. I believed I can be successful on YouTube because a friend of mine showed me his AdSense account. I believed it's possible. Right? So to your point, I know what that did for me and what that triggered in me. Right? And so if I can maximize the same thing, so if me looking at somebody's bank account and see how much money he's making, help me to make $30,000 a month, right? With a platform on YouTube, projecting other people's life and telling their profit, their challenges, what I would do to the masses, what I would trigger in the masses. And we are changing the narrative. We are, interviewing real people, real story, and then, real transformation. You see, I've had people that we interviewed first, second, and third. You see when we first interviewed them where they are, the second time, the third time, you see real transformation happening right in front of your eyes. That does something for some people, right? There's some people who like, oh, I would move, but I can't just move prematurely. But they keep watching the videos and they're preparing. They're preparing 5 years so they can move and move right. Because you can move prematurely and end up going back. You told everybody, oh, I'm moving to Africa. You sold all your properties, everything. Now you're back again. Very shameful. So people are watching our videos and it's doing something. I've met so many people who comment and I met them in real life that they did move to Africa because of, people like me and Wadamaya. And that's something, that's something I'm like, wow, I'm having an impact now compared to what I was doing back in the days, the street keys. This feels like, this feels like,
but it's all an evolution. It all comes.
You have to evolve.
Brick
You have
by
to
brick.
start. Yep. You have to start from somewhere. You evolve. So yeah, to your point.
No, I think that's so well said, because even in my experience, whether it was seeing someone get in shape, they used to be out of shape, seeing someone build their body and say, oh, yeah, this is how you do it. I did it. Wow, okay, maybe I can start to exercise. With the YouTube channel, I'd watched so much content in the past, but until I met some British guys I know who work in Korea, and I just saw that, wow, it's possible. It's not just something I can look at like this is this is something different. These guys are doing it. It gives you that inspiration.
It's true.
It is so, so powerful. And again, I wish that more and more people, whatever their background is, if you actively consume inspiring content, don't be surprised when you start inspiring people yourself and building those things. So yeah, but I think, we've covered a lot today, but I'm curious to know what is the future for Webnation, but also for you, Hayford. Like what's the future looking like?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The future, I mean, I see myself going into real estate. I've created a company, Webnation Properties Limited, that hopefully will be building. We start building very soon, helping diasporans acquire properties, both land, because there's so many horrible stories. People sold their houses, they sold their properties. They came to Ghana, bought a land from someone, and actually it's a fraud.
Right.
So imagine selling all your belongings. You work in the diaspora for God knows how long.
Painful.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing proper due diligence behind the scenes and trying to help people as much as I can acquire land. So that's with Webnation Properties Limited. Moving forward, I founded Influencer Fest. We did Influencer Fest, I think, 2023 or 24, one of them. And we've done it 2 consecutive years, 23, 24. And we had over 100 people show up the first year. And these are influencers from the diaspora and local influencers. And like you mentioned, the diaspora have a different mindset, right? They are more business minded. They are open. They've seen what the West could be. And so they have some valuable experience. And so they come down here and they teach that to the locals here, the local influencers on how to make money. We had 100 people show up 2023. 2024, we had over 400 people, reserve their ticket and, hopefully to help more people. The light bulb moment that I had when I saw that my friends AdSense account, I want more creators to have that, when they come to this event. And hopefully we can have a lot of the youth going into YouTube media and creating content and telling the real story of Africa and not letting other people come to tell, right? So we can control our narrative. And as a result of doing that, they can earn, a decent amount that they can, take that as their career. And so that's with Influencer First. And we're doing more documentaries now, right? I'm not even on screen, but we are focusing on more documentaries. I just came back from South Africa. I was there for 21 days. Went to Cape Town, Johannesburg, filming some, interesting stories. Having African Americans who own homes in the US who owed mortgage that they would have to pay for 30 years because they relocated to South Africa. They don't have that mortgage anymore.
Wow.
The more they sold their house in the US, the mortgage went away. That amount of money that they got from selling is enough to buy a property cash in South Africa and living there. So we want to focus on more stories like that, bringing to the people, just so they know it's possible. If you're in that position, you're privileged enough to be, own a house in the US and you are drowning in mortgage. By you selling it, you get rid of the problem and you get something 10 times better, in South Africa. And it's beautiful over there. So yeah, they should watch out for more documentaries like that. There's so many things, man. We want to travel more. Sometimes we want to go to Europe, interview some diasporans who want to come back home they can't afford. How's their lifestyle in Europe looking like? So we want to make more stories, do more stories like that, and be more international. Why not go to the Caribbeans, go to America someday, do some documentaries there, see how African Americans or Americans in general are living their life out of America. Is it better than America? We want to focus on more stories like this in the future.
No, it's very exciting and very inspiring. And just, I think something you said there is so powerful that maybe we can end on is what you said was stop letting others tell you who you are. You have to define for yourself. I think that you just hinted at there for everyone. I don't need to let someone else tell me as an African, as an Asian, as a Brit, whatever I am, you can define your own.
Yeah, but knowing who you are and then putting that out there, it's make a bold statement to the world, telling them how to treat you, right? You gain respect because you know who you are. That gives you courage. Like, think about the fact that maybe your father is from the Ashanti Kingdom and it's a royalty. When you're walking around in the street in Europe, there's a vigor, some kind of energy that you walk with, right? That's knowing who you are, right? And then telling your story to the world, right? Because then if you don't tell it, someone else will tell it, right? And then that would make the masses treat you a certain kind of way. From my experience, it's always not been good when they tell our story, right? They will treat you because hungry children, right? BBC, all those kind of things. We don't want that. We want to be able to tell the rich culture that we have gold, we have all these natural resources, we are wealthy, we have, amazing heritage. This is what we want to preach to the world, right? We have opportunities for everybody, right? Even Trump said that he has friends who have never made money in their life. They are hardworking in the US. They relocated. They came to Africa. They did business and they are making multi-millionaire, millions here. So this is what we have, right? And so we have to teach that or even make videos in a way that people outside of Africa will understand what we are, who we are, so they can treat us accordingly.
What an inspiring message to finish this podcast on. But Captain Hayford, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experiences with us today. Of course, if you haven't yet subscribed to Webnation Africa, you're going to see it on the screen now. All his information is going to be there down below. Thank you so much. Please let us know what you think in the comments, where you're viewing from. We're always curious to know. Share your experiences, what you agree with, what you disagree with. We're here to learn as well. So yeah, if you did enjoy this, please do consider subscribing. It helps us to make more content like this. Share it with someone you think could also benefit. But until next time, Nedasing. Thank you very much. Take care.